Hi everyone, this is yet another game from the Prix C2 vs Sicillian match, which was played on the 26th of March 2011 at the Barcello Hotel in Daventry. This time it is Jamie's younger brother in action on board 3, playing against John Feavyour, who has an ELO of 2069 at the time. So another very tough game with Andy being outgraded over 300 points, although like his brother, Andy had a drastic increase in the 2011 grading list, although he still isn't as high as his opponent was. But he also has white, and we are going to see yet another Grand Prix attack in this game by one of the Horton brothers. E4, C5, knight C3, knight C6. In a D6 line, you can have a variation which goes F4, G6, Knight F3, Bishop G7, check, Bishop D7, and then Bishop C4, where you provoke Black's bishop to a dodgy square. And when Black plays D6, a D5 which would hit the bishop loses a move, so it's not as important. And now Bishop hits F7 here. Now F4. Just for a bit of historical context. The Grand Prix attack was popularised in England in the early 1970s, and at that time all the tournaments were called the Grand Prix, and because it was played so many times and with such devastating results because people didn't really have an antidote against it, it was therefore called the Grand Prix attack. And it is still dangerous these days. Gawain Jones has it as a weapon in his arsenal, and it's very popular at club level. If you're playing the Sicillian, you definitely need a line against it, or you're going to get crushed. D6, Knight C3, G6, Bishop B5, Bishop G7, castles, Bishop D7, D3 and E6. And White should throw the F pawn here with F5, and like he usually does, and this gives good winning chances. There's also the move Andy played, which was Queen E1. The idea is to swing the Queen over to H4, which is a very common feat in the Grand Prix attack. Play F5 and then Bishop H6. Once the knight in F6, G8 is moved, and Black's castle kingside to swap Black's dangerous dark squared bishop off. And then, of course, get a mating attack. Knight G7 was played though, which clamps down on F5. F5 is playable but doesn't really get enough compensation. Queen H4 and King H1 are possibilities. Interesting is Bishop C4, castles, and then Queen H4. Now here D5 can be played. E takes D5, E takes D5, knight takes, takes, Bishop takes D5, and now something like Knight B4, and Black's got enough counterplay here. This might even be good for Black, because I think in the Grand Prix that Black's endgame chances are slightly preferable, and also because White's usually trying to hack Black up, the Queen's coming off is usually bad for White psychologically, as well as positionally. So if you get the opportunity for a Queen exchange in the Grand Prix, as Black, I'd usually take it, and as White, reject it. A3 was played. I think it's trying to stop a Knight B4. Castles, and now G4, a very risky dynamic move, and this shows that despite being outgraded by 323 points, he's actually going for the win, which is very brave, and I have a lot of respect for him for that. Because in my game, if you have a look, I'm outgraded a lot of points and I grovel to, well, I won't tell you what happened actually, but I'll tell you that I did grovel in the game. G4 is uncommon. Usually get this in the close Sicillian, because now White's king could be a bit exposed without a bishop on G2. Like the light square bishop is locked out of the game. Maybe Queen H4 was a bit safer. Knight D4 takes, Rook F2, and now the thematic blockading move F5 should give Black enough counterplay. G4, F5 again, the traditional blocking move. Rook C8 was played, Queen H4, F5 looks better, Knight D4, a strong square for the knight in the Grand Prix, and now White takes. Both of the bad bishops come off, and now F5. Because if any more delay and Black plays F5 with the better prospects. However, after takes, The king side has now been opened up and the game is getting very sharp. An interesting idea is knight g5 trying to provoke a weakness, and after h6 to stop mate on h7, then knight back to h3, and now there is a threat on h6. However, there is black can get an advantage with f takes e4, and now say bishop takes h6, bishop takes h6, queen takes h6, check, king h1, and knight ef5, and white's queen's getting kicked away, and black has easily the better prospects here. And he's also a pawn up. Bishop h6, knight g6, blockading up, queen h5, takes. Now black plays a dodgy move with knight takes f3 check, letting white back into the game. White's not really done anything wrong, but his play has been a bit ambitious, and black could have got an edge here with f takes e4, knight takes e4, f5, knight g5. It looks like white's got a good position, a good attacking position, but there's not really anything he can do, and his own king's very exposed. In fact, black can just take this pawn. And now black's threatening to win the rook, so also has the initiative, I'd say, and he's 2 pawns up and should win. However, black throws away a lot of his advantage with knight takes f3 check, rook takes f3 and f4. But now black's queens can come to g4 at some point. And now here white sets a very interesting little trap here, which is worth knowing. King h1 is interesting here, preparing to swing the rook to the g line. However, he plays knight d5, which is also not only is it a good move for him to win the queen, but there's a really good trap here. Now queen g4 looks very tempting, but if you want to try and find the move, please stop the video now. By the way, we went through this game in club, and actually I don't think he said somewhere that king f2 is fine here, and that they hadn't seen rook g3, which wins because, well, say if queen e6 to stop the knight fork, then rook h3, and there is no way to stop mate on h7. And otherwise the queen's threatened by a knight fork and attacked by the rook. So if the rook's taken, then white's black queen falls. Instead, f5, a very good move, was played, and now queen g5, f takes, d takes, queen g7, and black's covered up here. But white's got a strong knight, so black has to be careful. Rook af1. Rook c8, knight takes, and here the best is for black is queen d4 check, king h1, queen takes e4, knight takes, pawn takes, queen g2, and now queen takes f3. If rook takes f3, rook e1 checks, so the queen has to take. Takes, rook e2, black is a pawn up and has a rook on the 7th, and is therefore probably going to win. So white's risky, dubious play could have been punished here, but he's gone for the attack, and now the game peters out a little bit with some exchanges. And now we have a rook and pawn endgame, where black only has a very small advantage. The black's advantage lies in that white has 3 pawn islands and black has 2 pawn islands, so white's got the inferior pawn structure. But in a rook endgame, being a pawn up a lot doesn't do much, and here it's equal material. An interesting try for black is rook e6, where it seems that if white moves his king across, then the rooks come off and white's inferior pawn structure will mean a loss in the king and pawn endgame. But if white's king's acted enough to hold the balance, which I analysed, I mean, you shouldn't go into a king and pawn endgame unless you're absolutely sure of the result, because they are either fiendishly complicated or really easy. And also there's no turning back because there's no other pieces on, so it's just that it's now or never. And here's the want to draw in lines I looked through. You see neither side can make any progress. And the players agreed to a draw after a few more moves. Now they were beating us in the match, so the draw was a good result for them from black. Their player might have lost a few elo points, but anyway, it's going to be very hard to win this against anyone of any genuine strength. Anyone above 120 could draw this. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this Sharp Grand Prix game and learnt something from it. Please leave any comments and thoughts. Thanks very much.